Call the meeting to order at 7:05 and ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to say Merry Thanksgiving Eve to everyone here in the building, as well as anyone watching at home. We have the agenda before us. Is there any changes to the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve the agenda as written.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda passes. Roll call. We have Alan, we have Christine, we have Jameson and myself. Wes as well as John were not available. They are out of town for the holidays, so understand them not being here. And apologize to everyone regarding the change of plans. Usually we meet on the third Thursday, but Jameson couldn't be here, and we wanted to make sure that he was available for the motion here tonight. So that's the only reason that we changed the actual date. So moving on, we have 3 discussion items for this evening, as well as 1 action item. The first is about the Gibraltar Bay Connector with an update. So I'll start and say that we do have the Gibraltar Bay completed, and I want to thank the Byers family, thank the township, thank the airport committee, as well as everyone on this commission over here for all the contributions. I saw there was a good write-up within our newspaper, and so again, job well done to the whole entire team. Jameson, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a really cool event, the trail opening. It was great to see the community come out for it. It was nice to walk the trail with the Indy Byers. I do intend to bring a motion to the board, probably not on Monday, but maybe in December, to give the trail a second unofficial name that's related to the Byers' wishes, but we're waiting to hear what they think about that. So, but it was good, and I think it's just another step in the right direction into making Grosse Ile a healthier, more walkable and bikeable place. So if you haven't been out to the Gibraltar Bay Connector to walk down to the nature unit, I'd recommend you do so. It's actually pretty great.
Awesome. Does anyone else have anything to add or questions about the project?
I would like to add just my viewpoint on this. We've been doing this for quite a while. We did the horse mill path, and that seemed to be quite an emotional thing for us. It was a huge step forward. But as far as this leg of our system, to me it was very special, very emotional, and probably without a doubt the best link in our whole system. It's pretty, it's beautiful. I hope everybody takes advantage and uses it. That's really all I have to say about it. I'm very proud of it, and I hope everybody else is too.
Thanks for those kind words. I'll add that it's a unique aspect of the bike path system because we don't have anything like that as far as a more primitive trail, a more rustic trail. And so I think it does add character to the system. Christine, any questions or any comments or things you'd like to add? All right. Moving on, next item is BPAC contributions to the community master plan. So if you're not aware, Grosse Ile is engaged in a community-wide master plan update that's led by our local planning commission. So the planning commission is supposed to look at the master plan every 5 years and then from there decide if the master plan is still up to date or if does it need to be changed. And the master plan is primarily for land use, but it also looks at land use in association with different government services. So oftentimes there's a transportation element to it, there's a placemaking element. And so there's been a lot of focus on this because this is the first time that the master plan has been updated in over 20 years as far as like a full overhaul. So both Jameson and myself are a part of that planning update because it involves the full township board, and that's why Jameson is involved, and it involves the full planning commission, and that's why I am involved. But with that, there's a lot of room for others to be involved with that master plan update and seeking comments. And I know that they are would appreciate more comments from this commission regarding like what we would like to see into the future, especially like on like a map to like show potential improvements. So I'd like everybody to give a little more thought to that. I know there's a lot of stuff that we've talked about collectively over the years. I have a lot of documents I'll be able to share that could serve as inspiration as far as links to our online map that we have and other things. But also, if you're interested, do a little homework and see what other communities have as far as, master plans or bicycle and pedestrian plans, trails plans, and see if there's anything that you would really like to see as part of that master plan update. And, maybe we'll be able to include that. But at the very least, I think we should be able to get a map in there that shows the existing bike paths along with anything that we're planning into the future. Jameson, is there anything you'd like to add on that? So is another member of the master plan update?
Not a whole lot. I think I think it's overdue, and I think that, and Brian and I'll certainly keep pushing to make sure that pedestrian traffic and bicycle traffic is considered in the master plan going forward. Hopefully, we'll get some big ideas out of this, and be able to bring some of them to fruition.
Questions? All right, hearing none, move on to the final discussion topic. That is the Bellevue and West River sidewalks. So I'm sure folks are pretty familiar with this, but if you're not, BPAC has been looking at doing some sort of connection from Groseal to the city of Trenton and connecting to the rest of the Downriver Link Greenways, at least since 2016, if not earlier. Over the years, we've been able to come up with a good alignment, and working with the Downriver Link Greenways have been able to secure funding for a sidewalk along Bellevue, which would be on the north side and start from our bike path at Meridian, have a sanctioned crossing, run on the north side and then go down to West River. And then from West River, it will stay on the east side of the road and hug Water's Edge, and then connect into the sidewalk that's on the West River Groseal connector that runs its way up to the Free Bridge. And so that would complete our portion of this project, but the city of Trenton is also doing the same thing on their side of Groseal Parkway. So on the south side of Groseal Parkway, there would be a sidewalk that connects, from the Free Bridge all the way to Jefferson. So this is a joint planning effort. All the funding is secured. We want to make a motion, make a recommendation to the township board to approve of this project. And so there'll be a study session coming up next Monday. And so today we just wanted to discuss a little bit more about that project, especially our presentation materials to the township board.
So as we, and Brian and I are going to kind of go at this together, partially because I have to present it on Monday, and also because he's the one that made this PowerPoint, so I wouldn't want to take his credit. But if you guys, as the pedestrian or bicycle and pedestrian commission, have questions, right, fire away, especially if it's something that's controversial or convoluted or you don't understand. Because if you don't get it, the board's definitely not going to get it on Monday, right? So feel free to fire away.
We should make sure that the tech crew over here knows that we're presenting, and make sure that the people at home can see the presentation.
She's
as
tracking.
Well. Okay.
So,
cool.
All right. So here's an overview of the presentation. You can read, so I won't read them to you. But essentially, what we're going to do is build a roadmap as to the logic and conclusions that got us to where we're going here today. So it's kind of funny to explain why a bike path is needed, but I guess there's people that probably don't feel as strongly about these kind of things as we do. So it's safety and mobility, right? To increase the walkability of Grosse Ile, the bikeability of Grosse Ile, to give people access to the waterfront and water's edge via the Bellevue corridor that maybe don't feel as comfortable walking down a road or biking down a road. It's it's another leg in our bike path system and a justification for a bike path on the new bridge, right? So when we do get a new bridge, I probably shouldn't even say this on the air, but the likely locations are either a replacement bridge or somewhere near where that bridge is now, right? It's not like they're going to move it 3 miles down to the end of the island or something. So it's not like we're going to lose this trail if there were in the future to be a revision of the bridge location. However, I'm officially not saying there is a replacement bridge coming. So this will have the least economic impact on taxpayers. It's fully funded by grants, which is phenomenal. And the location also has the least impact on taxpayers. Bellevue, in particular, is the only cost-effective corridor favored by homeowners with access to the waterfront. And the advantages to it is it's going to beautify that corridor, provide all the access we previously mentioned, and it's going to minimize the impact to traffic and homes, right? And we have a comparison that Brian put together. He did a really good job with a deep analysis of all the potential routes, and there just isn't another option. This is the best we can do, and effectively it's either this or nothing. So, oops. And I guess it's worth mentioning why now, because we're at the position where, the downriver linked greenways needs us to commit to this project and at least say we're doing it, right, before they're going to continue to hold money on our behalf, right? There's other communities that could be using it. The fact that they've held on to it in hopes that Grosse Ile joins this system is just a reflection of how important, we are in the whole downriver cycling ecosystem. So a connection is needed, right? We need to get connected into the mainland, and the reason for that is we can generate more traffic off island, right? We can bring in a little bit of economic development. We can be participants in regional programs, and it gives people access to all the wonderful things we have here in Grosse Ile. It also gives us access to Trenton, the Iron Bell Trail, downriver linked greenways, the Great Lakes Way, Elizabeth Park. So it's really like the missing leg in this whole system. So do you have anything else to add on that, Brian? I don't mean to run away with this thing on you.
No, you're doing fine.
Okay. So here you can see an overlay of the Iron Bell Trail. And what this is a trail that kind of circumnavigates the state of Michigan. I've biked sections of it. I actually walked about 50 miles of it, and it's a phenomenal trail system. It's very cool, and the fact that we can be part of it will loop us in with the people that are traversing it. And I realize to many people it sounds crazy that someone would bike or run or walk or hike around Michigan, but I assure you there's people doing it. In fact, I was over at Elizabeth Park this summer. I ran into a group of about 25 folks that were doing the lower peninsula leg of the Iron Bell, and they had their bikes with saddlebags and everything like that. They were actually asking me like, "Hey, if we go across the bridge, anything good to eat over there?" and stuff like that. So, it's an important connection. I think it's gonna help us out. So,
Jameson, a couple of things I'd add to that is that the Iron Bell Trail is composed of two routes. One that's hiking centric or walking centric, and the other one that's primarily biking centric.
Oh, I see. The red is...
Yeah, the red is primarily biking. The blue is primarily hiking. They can be both on like any individual segment of those routes, but like when there's a need for one over the other, like if you have to pick, it's like the blue route, it has to center on pedestrians.
Okay.
The red route, it has to center on bicycling. So that's why we're looking at a sidewalk as part of this project, and you can't do a bike lane alongside the road because, it needs to be for pedestrians at the very least.
Okay.
The other thing is that, again, like is what you're saying, like, the people that will do this thing in an entirety, though it's a slim margin. But there's lots of people that would come from here and go to Flat Rock, or maybe go out to the metro parks beyond there. Maybe, take a trip up to Belle Isle for the day. There's those micro trips along the route, and that synergy and connecting in the downtowns and like that smaller scale economic development. So we're not trying to create the illusion that you're going to have masses of people starting in Ironwood and coming through Groseal, like all the time. And so we have hundreds of people coming every day. That's not the vision. It'd be great if it was, but like that's
be interesting.
No one's talking about that right now.
Okay.
So yeah, just those 2 points about the smaller trips and like the need for, there's 2 routes and one being hiking based, which is what we're on.
So the reason we can't do a Sharrow or an extended side lane is because it can't just be a cycling lane, it has to be pedestrian capable.
Correct.
As well. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. That's good data for me to have then.
Yeah. And this part doesn't need to be in the presentation, but just a little bit of background. When they were coming up with the concept, originally, people like, hey, it would be nice to come to Groseal. And so like, I was actually involved with coming out with like the first route for it. And we thought it was going to be bicycling. And so like, okay, well, we'll do East River and West River, and they'll come and exit from the toll bridge to the north because you can bicycle on that, and that's better for bicycling from that standpoint. And then it got switched that we're to the hiking route, and so that kind of they put a kibosh to that idea. And then working with the Downriver Link Greenways, we're like, okay, well, yeah, we can do hiking, but we'll come on the free bridge then.
Is where it converts from the hiking route to the cycling route.
Correct.
Okay. So our section can be a cycling route, but must be a pedestrian route.
Correct.
Okay. All right, cool. That's good data then. That answers the mail on a couple of things. So here is another shot of the Iron Bell Trail System. And I guess here is where you can see what Brian was just talking about. If you look where my cursor is, over at Belle Isle is where it converts over from the minimum pedestrian route to the minimum of a cycling route. So I was looking at this slide earlier. What you're demonstrating here is the Great Lakes Way Trail that goes southbound out of Groseal, right? So not necessarily part of Iron Bell, but an additional trail system we get access to.
Correct.
Right?
This is a totally different trail. So like there's a couple different regional trails like across the state. There's one called the Great Lake to Lake Trail. And so it connects Lake Michigan with Lake Huron. And Monroe's like, well, wait a minute, we're on Lake Erie over here. How come we can't be a part of this? And like originally I think they were going to be a part of the Iron Bell Trail, and that got nixed. And so like we're feeling a little left out, and we're like, we don't have a north-south route. There's folks within the Lake St. Clair, and like a lot of activity going on up there in Macomb and St. Clair County, and a lot of activity down in Toledo as well. Correct. And so like this is a different route that goes from Toledo, comes through downriver, and it really kind of centers around Groseal at one point. If you look at the map, because and then it goes through Detroit, goes up through Lake St. Clair, and ends at the mouth of the St. Clair River into Lake Huron. So it connects all of our coastline over here. Okay. And so like that can be biking, it can be hiking, and it can also be for water trails.
Okay, cool. Well, that's just another feather in our hat for it. So the planning for this really started well before 2015, right? I was talking to Township Manager Derek Teal the other day, and he was telling me that there's been discussions about a need for Groseal to link into the Downriver Trail system for 20 years. Where this got, I guess, viable was in 2015. when the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission got involved with downriver linked greenways and some of the other local agencies involved in this current grant writing. So it's been a long time coming. It's been thoroughly researched. So the goals for the planning effort that began back in 2015 was to create a safe connection between the Meridian Path and the Free Bridge, to minimize any externalities of said connection to local homeowners, right? So we're not putting a path across all their porches. Maximize benefits to local homeowners, so provide trail access. Coordinate efforts with Wayne County and Trenton, which has already been done. And then to utilize Iron Belt Trail funds as a way to minimize GI taxpayer contributions, which we have successfully done. There will be no GI taxpayer There should be no GI taxpayer contributions to this project, unless the board were to scale it differently than it currently is, or to add things. So this is a review of the potential corridors. So Douglas Drive was examined. That's not a real road, it's just a right-of-way, and that goes through several people's backyards in the Haley Crescent corridor. The Grosse Ile Parkway corridor was looked at, and the Bellevue corridor, and you can see the Meridian Trail over here on the right. So here is some data on the analysis that was performed on each one of these potential corridors. So the only thing I would ask, Brian, is how old is this data?
This data is probably from, it's either 2018 or 2019. It was prepared for us by CE Rains.
Okay, so these figures are probably no longer exactly what they show on here.
Correct. It's probably more.
So the way I'm actually going to talk about this is on this slide. So you can see the GI Parkway corridor. Had we done that, if we'd gone on the north side of GI Parkway, it would have gone through several people's yards, a Eagle regulated wetland, involved several bridges and grade adjustments, and it wouldn't have given anyone access to Water's Edge, the waterfront, or West River Road, right? It's a straight shot from Meridian to the bridge.
Yeah.
Douglas...
I was going to say, and we asked the local homeowners about that, because there was rumors that maybe that they wanted something in their front yard, so that way it was easier for kids to get to school, to be able to connect up with a bike path to the north, and because they're kind of just stuck there on Grosse Ile Parkway. They don't have a real good connection to it. And so we thought that either like the north side of Grosse Ile Parkway or the Douglas Drive might have been a great solution. It gives them more access. And at that meeting, it was a resounding no, that they did not like either of those options.
Okay, so the south side of Grosse Ile Parkway runs into similar issues. First of all, it doesn't give anybody access to it because there's nobody on the south side of the road except Water's Edge and the Grosse Ile Golf and Country Club. On the south side of the road, in the vicinity of the country club, is a significant grade reduction, which would have to be overcome with either, again, bridges or, adjustments that would go beyond the right-of-way. So it's not possible to do it there. Which brings us to Bellevue, right? So Bellevue has an impact on two landowners, right? One is the township with the Water's Edge complex. The other one is the Grosse Ile Golf and Country Club. And because... we limited the project to the Wayne County right-of-way. So it'll have no impact on the country club's property outside of the right-of-way. The other big advantage is it's going to make the corridor look much nicer. Right now it's just a street with some trees on the side. It almost looks like a utility road. So this will make it a much more pleasant experience, I guess, to bike or walk down. And it'll make it safer and give people access to the waterfront. So here is another look at the pathway. This one shows the Trenton section. So Trenton has already committed to their installation of the section. So this is the tie-in on our end. And I think Trenton's actually pretty excited to bring this together. So
with this, I just add that as a result of that other meeting, we did investigate the possibility of doing a partial or full closure of Bellevue Road, so that way we weren't going in even into the road right of way. There was multiple issues at play with this. One is we don't own the road, so it's like we would have to get approval from Wayne County. And at the time when we were investigating this, there was some confusion where Wayne County said that we owned the road. So we're like, well, if we own the road, we can do whatever we want with it. And that's why we started looking into this. But additionally with that, there was some questions and I'd say some concerns from local public safety as far as emergency access for ambulances and fire vehicles. We looked at a couple different options for how to alleviate that, but also the recreation director at Water's Edge was not in support of this, at least at the time. It was a different recreation director.
Okay.
So it was just, there's multiple reasons that it didn't seem very viable. So once we were met with some of that resistance, we decided to not pursue that option. And then after this fact, that's when Downriver Link Greenways came to us and said, hey, we have some funding for this. What's the route that you'd like to see? And that's where we kind of picked up steam with the initial, this newer effort.
Yeah, I think the other drawback to the road closure, right? And again, this is speaking about something in the broad sense of Grosse Eel's trail system, walkability and bikeability, is if we just throw a couple posts in the road, it doesn't really make it any more of a beautiful place to take your bike or go for a walk or anything like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it does create some concerns for emergency services as far as being able to access those facilities, not just as a pass-through, but if something were to happen to somebody in those areas.
Yeah.
So I do think a linear park would be cool, but a linear park is substantially more than just a road closure, so.
Yeah, and so that's where we were going with this, is to turn it into a linear park. Think of it more like the DeQuinder Cut,
Yeah, I was
or
just thinking
stuff's
of
going
that.
on. But again, that would be more down the road, starting with something smaller. So this slide 14, unless you really want to go into that, I'd say hide that slide, as
Okay.
well as hide the cost slide that preceded these, because they're more in there. Well, I'd say, hide slide 11. And I apologize, I said hide slide 14. Bring this one back to
Okay.
slide 13 and hide slide 14.
Okay.
Because this just applies to the road closure.
Central road
so
closure?
if someone said well, what does that look like? And we
Okay.
have time to spare, we can talk about this, but it's not really important for the matter at hand.
Roger that. So here is a ArcGIS overlay that Brian put together. It's accurate. Well, let me see it. It's accurate, but not precise. So it is a general idea of where this trail will take place. But you can see the purple line on the north side of the road moves down through the area. There's approximately 5 trees, a row of arborvitae, and a couple of arborvitae on the north end that will need to be removed or relocated, or removed and replanted. They're all on township property. None of them are on Grosse Ile Golf and Country Club property. So pretty minimal impact as far as that goes. And we do have the engineering, I have the engineering PDF pulled up that we can take a look at after this. So here's the scope of the project. It starts at West River and the GI Connector Road. It runs the east side of West River and the north side of Bellevue. It'll have crosswalk markings and wayfinding signage, and it's completely within the Wayne County right-of-way per previous conversation with Grosse Ile Golf and Country Club. It's funded completely by the Downriver Link Greenways Initiative, which included engineering design costs, permit fees, and construction costs. And the impact, let me update this, because I do think it is closer to 5 trees, Brian, now that they came out with the other 2 they were talking about the other day. I'm gonna, instead of saying unsanctioned parking spots, I'm gonna say
Official?
unofficial, yeah. unofficial parking spots. Okay. Tried to accommodate parking by requesting easement to go around go around the parking, but it was denied. So through the parking it goes. So Grosse Hill Country Club has come forward, and I talked to Jay Frucci, the president, and Mr. Frucci said that he's got some significant safety issues that he's concerned about. We have some notes about that here because we don't want to not capture that concern, but I've got a meeting with him on Friday, 1 o'clock. I don't know. You weren't available, were you, Brian? No. Okay. So we'll see what he has to say. I mean, I think we're open to adjustments. I don't think we can re-engineer this whole thing and move it, right?
Correct.
So, it's almost a binary thing. Either the trail goes in at the current location it's been engineered for, with maybe some adjustments, or it does not. So I don't think there's much we can do in that regard.
Yeah, and related to that, we did ask about tweaks and things. It's just so it's not Grosse Hill saying that, hey, it has to be this way or nothing. They're so far along within the design process, and they need we're holding up everything for them. And so it's like we're not only risking our stuff, like the Downriver Link Greenways, by waiting for us, like they're risking everything for Flat Rock and for Trenton and for Riverview and for Wyandotte and River Rouge and Ecorse. So it's like multiple communities over here. So unfortunately, we can't go back to the drawing board and start again with this. If we do that, we basically lose all the funding for this project.
Yeah, and I think you've summed up what this slide pretty much says down at the bottom there, right? And at the top. So the only two remaining things, three, right, would be we need the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee to recommend it. We need the Township Board to approve it. An MDOT grade inspection is the final box to be checked, and then we look into the construction timeline. So, Alan, to your question earlier, I think it's viable and we're within striking distance. Which is, in my opinion, great news.
So, just on this slide, I had this in here thinking that if we needed Mary or anyone else from the Downriver Link Greenways to come and present, this was kind of a holding spot for their motion. So unless there's something specific that we want to address on that, yeah, you can just hide that slide.
I'll hide that one too, because I'll draft the motion.
Correct.
Okay.
And so this was just included just again to reiterate the importance of these connections. Okay. And the same thing over here. It's like if they wanted to go in and look at the dynamic map, we can have that, but we can hide that as well.
Yeah, I've got the ArcGIS map pulled up, so that'll remind me to click over to it then. Good. So here are the engineered drawings. I don't know if there's much value in the four of us sitting here and reviewing these in depth. What I can do is give you some highlights. Bellevue. Okay. So these drawings start at Grosse Hill Parkway. So actually here, we'll use these ones because they're the top ones. So you can see here the black line goes down along the side of Grosse Hill Parkway, crosses over the road, and then connects down here along our sidewalk. So if you drive up Grosse Hill Parkway, actually I'll rephrase. If you're going up West River Road and you take a right up towards Grosse Hill Parkway on that access road, you'll see a sidewalk on the left-hand side, the far left. So that's the sidewalk we're going to tie into. There will be a crossing at that connector road, and then the trail will move down alongside West River. Around the corner of Water's Edge, you can see the unofficial parking spots here. So they,
Jameson, would you be able to zoom in a little bit better? I know I can see it, but I just think maybe some people at home prefer a larger scale.
okay. So you can see here, this is where the unofficial parking spots are. This here is a row of like shrubberies. So the shrubberies will be removed. In this area, there are 2 trees that need to be removed. I talked to Zaid, the recreation director, about that today. He's not too worried about that as long as the project or BPAC is willing to do something to kind of make the tree situation right. You know, either maybe we'll go plant a couple trees or something for them, or if we can relocate those trees. Talked to township supervisor about that today. They can move smaller trees, right? But if this is a 3-foot wide oak tree, then unfortunately they're just going to get a younger tree. So you can see it continues along the Bellevue corridor here. Each one of these represents a sheet later in the PowerPoint here. And then reconnects to Meridian Road there. So, and then these are the construction grade drawings with tree overlays and everything else. So,
Yeah, so it calls out where those trees are specifically removed. If there's
Right.
anything else that would be removed.
yeah, so I think there's a tree here, tree here. This tree is not at risk. This is the shrub in question, right, that needs to be removed. Along here, along there. So, let me see. I don't see any other trees there. Match the, so they will saw cut and match the asphalt so that there's a smooth transition up and onto the trail for any cart paths too. Here's another tree. This one's not at risk. It actually just needs to be trimmed. Relocate the culverts there. Remove the bushes. Here are 3 trees that do require removal. That's why they got the big X in them. A few more of the little guys. This one's only 12 inches wide, so that may be one that's a candidate for adjustments. And you can see on here that they actually have the elevation drawings on here as well, the topography. So that's been a consideration this whole time as far as drainage and ensuring that the trail is actually flat and capable of people are capable of moving through it. So a few more small trees there. There are a couple of retaining wall sections. Let's see if I can find those. Remove tree. All right, relocating the retaining wall note may be above my engineering ability. Sign, coordinate new location, asphalt, vertical clearance. Okay, well, needless to say, I think it's going to be a really big improvement. And anybody looking at these engineering drawings can plainly see that this is a very professional and well-researched set of drafts. So I think that we're in pretty good hands here. So, any questions?
I have a question. What sort of crosswalk will there be right there at we connect to the existing sidewalk? Is it just paint on the ground?
So you're talking about at Meridian? Or, the existing sidewalk?
Yeah, the one we're tying in.
Yeah, so we could pull those plans back up, but I believe it's probably an ADA crosswalk, so it should include a ramp down into the road. I don't know if it's high visibility crosswalk markings, but I would assume that there's going to be some crosswalk markings about, with that.
Like saw cut existing pavement, provide a smooth straight edge. Typical.
Yeah, so there's probably a sheet that shows typicals.
Oh, you know what? They do have all those down here, way down in the bottom.
So it's like, if you look at any modern sidewalk where it goes into the street, there's a ramp down, there's a little like colored rectangle that has a bunch of circles on that, and that helps people that with limited visibility to detect that you're going into the street. So those will be on both ends, and
So a
there'll be advanced signage.
solar-powered assembly,
Oh,
one-sided RRFB. So I don't know specifically what the RR
I can tell you what that is.
flashing, what is it? Something flashing beacon,
Yep,
right?
rectangular rapid flashing
Okay.
beacon. So you push that button, there's gonna be the lights that wig-wag. It's not a full stop, but like it gets people's attention and they should yield to a person that's going into the crosswalk. And then that's interesting, like if that is, I'm not sure where that one's gonna be at. If that's gonna be at the,
See if we can find the indicators.
But that's different than the one that we currently have at Horse Mill that just flashes all the time.
correct,
Okay. That's safer, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, this one, I guess, has a push button.
My thought is that this is probably going at Meridian, but I could be wrong. So, but it'd be good to see that, because I thought there's stop control. I mean, I think there's a stop sign at the connector with West River.
So it looks like they've got some overhead stoplight diagrams in here too for consideration. So
So if you just find the name of the typicals and then like go back to the actual engineering drawings for the path, you can
Okay.
line them up. So if it's like 1A and that's the whatever the
signal
rapid flashing beacon is.
400A. What was this one labeled? Typical pole-mounted pedestrian signals, WC029.
I think this might be an excerpt of like there's 76 documents over here, so you can see it. These drawings are used for all of the communities within the downriver area.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's specifically going there. So if we look,
Let's look on the first construction grade one. This one. Typical coordinate new location with owner.
remove and relocate, is that what you're looking at? Remove and
Yeah, right
relocate
here.
signs.
Okay. So they've got that's the benchmarks. All right, well maybe that's a do out then. Signage. Let's
Check into that, is that what you're asking?
yeah, I'd like to be able to answer the mail on that. I think Christine has a pretty good question. Like, okay, what are these crosswalks actually going to look like, right? So, and even if I don't have that answer, hopefully we could get it Monday morning so I could have it going into the study session for the board. Even if we don't, let's have it at least by the vote in December.
Stop sign, or will they be coming?
Correct.
They will.
So, yeah, they're gonna be, so Jameson, we just pulled up Google Street View.
Mhm.
So I know no one at home can see what we're talking about over here. But what we're doing is, we're looking at what Google calls a waterway, but it's, that connector between West River and Grosio Parkway. And so
Okay.
if you're looking westbound, from that connector towards West River, you can see it. There is a stop sign before you get to West River and an actual pavement marking, stop bar there. And so we're discussing that the crosswalk is going to be in front of that stop bar and that, stop sign. At least, that's standard practice.
Right.
You see that in any neighborhood. And any time you have a signal as well as the crosswalk is always
Forward of the stop bar.
forward from the stop bar. So I believe that's the way it would be. And again, there's less concern at that location about people stopping because of that stop sign.
Yeah, I suppose that wouldn't be it wouldn't be terrible to have a passive device there, right? I think where we need, if they're like, hey, you can have one active device, it's Meridian is where we need it.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty valid point, Christine. Thanks. Okay, Alan, you got anything?
I noticed that at the West River and ramp area there's a line of sight issue. Westbound on the ramp at West River, as you stop there looking north, there's always been a vision issue there, line of sight issue.
You mean as far as the right turn there?
Yep, the right turn there, but as you're crossing, it has to be in front of that stop line simply because the southbound traffic going onto the connector has to see that crosswalk first.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be behind that stop line. So it'll be forward quite a bit. As this image shows, it's back quite a ways, but I don't think it'll be that far back. I think it'll be closer to West River, just because of line of sight. But that's an engineer issue. I'm sure they're gonna tie that in nicely, and whatever they add to it to stop traffic there, it's gonna have to be visible to southbound traffic turning left.
This is what we see.
Well, in that picture, that's just a question that surfaces. It surfaces in my mind only because the diagram they're showing probably isn't to engineering spec. It's just for general reference.
Yeah, and I've got the engineering one up here, but it actually doesn't have the crosswalk itself designated on here. So I think that's probably a due out. We'll figure out what the answer to that is. That's a good question too, Alan. Okay. You comfortable, Brian?
Yeah, overall, I am very comfortable with this. I think that we've all done our research on this. I think we should be able to answer most questions regarding this, and if we can't, we can hopefully come up with answers for them after the study session.
Okay, and I don't know what the audience for the BPAC meeting is tonight, but I would thank anybody, I think anybody that watches our commission meetings, or any commission meetings for that matter, but I do appreciate anybody tuning in to watch us kind of use this a bit as a rehearsal, so I have nothing further.
Yeah, I'll just add, if anybody has questions about the project, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to answer any questions, and if you're in support of the project, I encourage you to submit public comment on that.
That's true. If you have questions or concerns, you can email me at jyager, Y-A-G-E-R, @grosseal.com. If you're supportive of the project, I would appreciate it if you would write an email to publiccomment@grosseal.com and just express that you're excited to use the new Bellevue connector. So, rec, I talked to this is a little bit tangential, but talking to the rec director earlier today, he was actually kind of excited about it because he's trying to get some more people down to Water's Edge for community events and things like that. They've got a new restaurateur coming in, so that's kind of exciting. The marina, they're looking into some grants for that, so I think it all kind of ties the whole thing together. So, all right.
So I guess that concludes the discussion portion of the presentation, but Jameson and I have also put together recommended language for the for the township board to consider, and I think that's what we need to take action on tonight. Yes. So Jameson, I don't know if you have anything that you want to put up on screen, or if you're just gonna kind of okay. Overall, while he's pulling that up, what we're trying to do is, make a recommendation to the township board to approve of the sidewalks, recognizing that they're going to be putting these in place. So it's not like they're doing this by the fly of night and Groseal had no idea about it. In a couple cases along water's edge, that they need to come in like a couple feet, like at the corners. I believe it's at Bellevue and West River, and then back at West River and that connector road. I believe that might be construction easements as opposed to permanent easements. And then just recognizing that there will be some tree removals as part of that. And, finally, that, once this is built, that this becomes Groseal property. Downriver Link Greenways is not going to own it. They're not going to maintain it. Groseal is going to own it, and, BPAC is going to maintain it, with our bike path millage funds.
And to clarify, this is technically a sidewalk, not a bike path, because it's only 5 feet wide, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is the material asphalt or concrete?
I believe it's concrete.
Okay. All right. So I'm pulling up the original language I put together, and then we'll look at it with the language you put together as well.
Yeah, there was some specific language that the Downriver Link Greenways needed us to include, and I kind of recapped what that was. And then there was additional items that I included, because what I wanted to make sure is that this motion or this resolution is complete. It's not that you need to refer to other documents in order to understand the why, as that the board would be making this action. So it's talking about everything that Jameson presented here tonight, that we're part of the Downriver Link Greenways, we're part of these larger statewide trails, that we need these connections to local resources like Water's Edge and even Elizabeth Park.
So I will say this: the way that the township board functions is you read a motion in its entirety, and then they second it. And if it's seconded, then you can talk about it, right? So what I will probably do is dilute this down into something that's a little more digestible, and then use the body up here as the discussion items that I'll, the history, they call it. So it'll probably be something to the fact that the Groseal Township Board of Trustees approves Downriver Linked Greenway.
Jameson, would you mind zooming in? Thank you. Maybe I'm just.
So the actual motion will probably be something more to the effect of: the Groseal Township Board approves Downriver Linked Greenways, Friends of the Detroit River, and Wayne County to proceed with sidewalk and crosswalk construction on Bellevue and West River based on results from MDOT inspection plans, including the need for small easements of Water's Edge at the corner of West River Road at Bellevue and West River Road at Groseal Parkway, including required grade improvements and stair removal, and permission to replace arborvitae along River. Well, I'm going to modify that real quick.
West River.
West River Road within golf course property. And the golf course they're referring to here again is Water's Edge. These items are noted in the plans from PEA and permit approved by Wayne County. And then there is a financial impact block on the motion. So our financial impact block will say none. And then the maintenance after it thereafter, I suppose, doesn't have to be in the motion, but should be noted.
So related to that, I think it's really important for the Downriver Link Greenways that they understand that this, this becomes Groseal's property.
Mm.
So it's like, I think that they're going to want to see that in the motion, if that's possible.
I mean, I suppose we could include it in the motion. I don't think it's necessary because, of course, it becomes ours, but they are requesting we put that in the
Correct.
motion?
That clarifies it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, it's approving of them doing the construction. We recognize that it's our, once complete, it's ours and will be maintained by us.
Yeah, it just gives any naysayer to the project a reason to. It gives them a chink in the armor to start turning their screws, right? Well, how much is this going to cost to maintain? What are the estimates on that? How long is it going to last? Like, So
I think
now we do have, to clarify for the public, we do have sufficient maintenance funding based on the millage that the taxpayers raised for trail maintenance to maintain this trail in addition. So I'm not saying we can't or that we shouldn't. I'm just saying it does give anybody in opposition to it some ammunition. So
Yeah. I think you could just point to the sidewalks on Macomb Street or the sidewalks within many of the subdivisions within Groseal and ask, how often have you actually had to go out there and, replace sections of those concrete? It's likely going to be, 10, 20, 30 years before, real maintenance might even happen on that.
that's true. Okay, so this kind of says that twice.
Yeah, it's like Mary had, I'd given this language to her,
Okay.
and she said, "Oh, the only thing I would add is that, and then she had that language that
Okay.
basically that they're going to be a resource to help us out. So it's like if you want to tweak that, if you don't think that's super necessary, I'm not as committed to keeping that within the resolution.
So Groseal understands downriver. Oops. Groseal understands downriver linked greenways initiative makes no guarantees for future funding maintenance. They will continue to be a resource and partner. So I think that says it, right? And we can get rid of this one.
No. I mean, I think, does it anywhere else does it say that, this becomes township property?
Well, it is township property. You know what I mean?
Well, the sidewalk, I guess the way it works is road right of way. Wayne County technically owns that. They allow,
I see what you're saying.
they allow people to build stuff within their right of way based on permit. So all of our bike paths, we own them, but they're operated within Wayne County right of way. The same thing will happen with the sidewalk, because what'll happen is if there's maintenance, Wayne County can say, we don't own that. That's yours.
I see. Okay. So we need to assume ownership of it is what you're saying. And maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay. I get what you're saying, right? Because we actually don't own the property, the county does.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the important thing is that, yes, the township assumes ownership of the sidewalk.
Groseal Township Board approves Downriver Link Greenway Initiative.
And for anybody that's wondering why is Friends of the River included in that, the Detroit River included in that, is that they needed to partner with a nonprofit organization that had that ability to carry the funds. So they're operating together on this. Downriver Link Greenways is taking the initiative on all of the planning, and the Friends of the Detroit River is more the financier, holding of funds. And of course Wayne County, because it is Wayne County right of way.
That is a standard procedure with all trails and both hard and soft.
Correct.
To the as presented. DLGI. Well, let's see. Yeah, unfortunately, we just don't put stuff like that in motions usually. It's in the body, but it's not in the motion. The way the board does motions is I move that the township board approves the airport to repave runway 5, right? And there's not all those caveats built into motions, typically at the board level. It's in the actual action item, but it's not in the read motion.
So I mean, I get, I'm green on all this. What if it's excuse me, I'm getting tongue-tied
Action
over
item
here.
body is binding, right? So everything we say in there is binding, but what we read publicly is just,
Okay.
hey, we want to repave runway 3. I move that we repave runway 3, right?
Yeah, so you say we repave runway 3, but within that legally binding document that is legally binding after the vote has happened,
Right.
it says that, all the details of that. So if the Downriver
Yeah.
Link Greenways saw the motion, they see that language that they
I
specifically
mean, I could shore it up a
required.
little bit, I guess. It would just be a whole lot for me to read all of that. And I think that I think I'm going to generate a ton of confusion.
Okay.
So,
I think the most important is we allow for the construction, that we assume ownership of the constructed sidewalks, and that we maintain them.
okay. Let's see what time is approved.
Outside of standard practices, understood that we're using standard practices and that's accepted, but if we
Yeah.
go outside those standard practices, it should be noted
Okay. So how does
outside.
this sound then? So the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee recommends the Grosse Ile Township Board approves Downriver Link Greenways Initiative, Friends of the Detroit River and Wayne County to proceed with sidewalk and crosswalk construction on Bellevue and West River Road at no cost to Grosse Ile taxpayers, based on the results from MDOT inspections and in accordance with PEA drafts presented to the board on 11 December 2023, after which the township will assume ownership of the path and its maintenance.
I think that covers it. If you're comfortable with that, that's good, and like all the rest can be just.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it'll come out in discussion. We can, and there could be friendly amendments to it, right? Like, one of the other board members could be like, we gotta put in there the 5 trees. Well, okay, we'll put the 5 trees in, right? So it could get adjusted a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think this is BPAC's motion, and then when we drop the BPAC, this first
Yeah.
4 words, it kind of becomes the board's motion. So.
Correct.
Okay, so I move that the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee recommends to the Grosse Ile Township Board and approves Downriver Linked Greenways Initiative, Friends of the Detroit River and Wayne County to proceed with sidewalk and crosswalk construction on Bellevue and West River at no cost to Grosse Ile taxpayers, based on the results of MDOT inspections and in accordance with PEA drafts that will be presented to the board on 11 December 2023 and possibly 2027 November, after which the township board will assume ownership of the path and its maintenance.
Second.
Any discussion? Sweet.
All right. If everyone feels comfortable, call the question. All in favor of the recommendation? Aye.
Aye.
Any oppose? Any abstain? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Christine, do you want me to bring this over so you can copy it down? Will that make it easier for you?
Copy the last part down?
Yeah, the draft motion we just made?
Yeah.
Okay. It was kind of a long one. So.
Yeah. I just sent you a photo of it. I don't know if you'll be able to just copy it from there.
Yeah. He sent me the photo, I can see it from there and I'll do it that way. And I don't have to, I can type
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah. If you do it from the iPhone, I think you might be able to even just select the text, copy and paste. Oh, okay. Well, maybe it has that on the
Maybe I'll try.
Droid.
Droid does have that. We had it way before iPhone did.
Usually you do. All right. Is there anything else that we need to discuss before adjournment?
No, I think we've done some good work tonight, and I just want to. I know it's a crappy night to call a meeting, so I just appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you. So thanks, Alan. All right, motion
Great.
to adjourn?
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving and see you next month.